Connecting people who we all love you. We are here for you. Can hear you. Connect.
I say pleasant good morning to the U.S. Virgin Islands. This is Adler Fonsi Donastorg here with you live on
This is the people show. No matter where we go. Connect the dots, family. Connect the dots, unity. Connect the dots, for you and me. Connect the dots.
Good morning. This is Adler Fonsi Donastorg here with you this bright Monday morning. And I just want to apologize to you guys. Just a little bit of technical problems here in the studio, but it's a wonderful day here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I just wanted to say good morning to each and every one of you. This is, again, Adler Fonsi Donastorg. Connect the dots every Monday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. And, of course, this morning, you know, it's just in paying a tribute to one of our very own, Adi Artley. Adi's been with us for so many years, that friendly voice on the radio, that comforting voice, that voice that gave all of us hope. You know, I recall during the hurricane, it was perhaps the only station that was not down. And, you know, a lot of people appreciated the fact that this station in particular was not down, and they were able to provide people with some kind of direction, instructions, you know, on what to do even in the wake of a hurricane. And you can only but appreciate what he did coming day in, day out. Because, I mean, after all, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be into a radio station and communicating with the public religiously. And when I say religiously, every single morning, we could only appreciate what he did. And I just wanted to extend my condolences to the family, you know, because I know that it's not easy. We know that it's not easy losing a loved one. And, you know, what Adi represented for the Virgin Islands is something we'll never forget. And there's just a growing a sentiment in the community that so many people, you know, are really still a little shocked, and you know, rightfully so, because I myself, I can tell you that it's you know, Adi, like I said, what Adi represented to the Virgin Islands was just something that many of you, I know many of you can relate to what I'm trying to echo to the public, echo to every one of you. He's going to be missed. It's going to be a significant void, not just here in this station, but in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I wanted to offer my condolences to his family, and I wanted to bring Rob in just a second just to extend my condolences to the family. Rob, are you there?
Morning. How you doing?
You're on the air, Rob. Just, you know, I just wanted to offer my condolences to the family, my brother. I know that Adi is going to be sorely missed. He represented, was an icon in this community as far as I'm concerned, and served as the primary example, exemplary in the way he just performed there at the station, what he had to offer, and not to mention his insight on a lot of issues here in the community is just, it goes beyond explanation. I mean, Adi is going to be sorely missed. Yeah. So condolences to you and the family, and anything you want to say to my audience, you know, feel free. You're on the air, you're live.
Hey, thanks a lot. Hey, you know, I appreciate all the love and support. I mean, it's been overwhelming. I mean, I'm humbled, but I mean, and I knew, you know, we all knew that Adi's like larger than life, but now when something like this happens, and I'm like the catcher, right? So and everybody pitching condolences, this and that at you, you know. So it's definitely humbling, you know. And you actually can kind of imagine how big this man really was, you know. So like I said, the family appreciates everything everybody has said and is doing for us, and you know, we're trying to just get stuff in order now. You know, this just happened Thursday, but today is only Monday, so it's a whole lot of work. You know, it's not planning a regular homegoing service. You know, this is this is next level. So I appreciate it, and thank you for the condolences. And we all got to keep our head up. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. This man, he's done everything, a lot for all of us, and his time come. He completed his mission. So now, I was saying earlier this morning, I believe Funky Man, Brownie, LG Maroon, Addy, they started another radio station in heaven now. I love radio, but I ain't rushing to walk at that one. You see. So, yeah, man. So, that's it. So, may he rest in peace, and I appreciate everything. Truly.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the public appreciate the words of encouragement that you have offered. I know that I'm going to miss a fellow fan
Yes.
of the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to miss every season Addy coming on the air, and Addy is able to actually, just share with us just his insight in baseball and
Yes.
all that type of stuff. And I know there's a lot of people out there that had that personal relationship with him.
Right.
Every morning calling
Oh, yeah.
and asking him, Addy, I'm bringing up different subject matters, bringing up different concerns and issues. Everyone is going to miss
Yes. I mean,
that friendly voice.
we grew up on that. All of us. If they listen to you and they know you, and then from here they grew up on that, right?
Yeah.
Because as kids, that's what we knew. We had first of all, we had couple stations back then, But when Andy started doing his thing, we used to mess with the theme of he's the Oprah of Virgin Islands Radio, where they had the Oprah effect and they had the Andy effect,
Yeah.
So so it's definitely a part of all of our childhood and adult life. So there's going to be a void in everybody's life, but just remember the good times and the love will live on forever.
Yeah, my condolences to the family. And as I
Appreciate
said,
it, brother, truly.
it's just so many, so many people now that we're on this subject real quick, and we'll close it off shortly. But so many people are passing, and when you think of it, when you look at the newspaper, I'm afraid to look at the newspaper. I wanted to extend my condolences to, I understand, O'Neill Molina, who was chief down at the Port Authority
Yes.
For enforcement.
Uh-huh.
I understand he passed as well, and you're hearing this every single day.
Yeah, his
It's
service,
different
I want to
people.
say this weekend.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for sharing it with me.
Because, I listen to the obits every morning, I ain't got no choice. So when you talk about opening the paper, right? When I come in the morning and we go to the church and we go to the obits, sometimes the obits are almost as long as the church service. You figure if you have 15 obits, that's at least 15 minutes. The church service is only 20 minutes. When you think about it, so a lot of people are passing. But it is funny. When we were younger, when we were going to Studio 54, 50-something old, right? And now that we are both past 50, when I'm 45.
And you have to rub that in?
Well, you know what? But that's a blessing. That's a blessing, bro.
It is. When
If we could reach 80, I know 80 is, that's, what do they say? 3 scores to plus 10 is what life's expectancy is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if anytime you pass it, it's gravy, So, live everything to the fullest, and that's all we can do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Rob, and again, we extend our condolences to your family.
Appreciate it, brother.
During
Truly.
this time of bereavement, So
Yes, sir.
thank you for lending him to us.
Yes,
Because
and
he was
that's
only yours. He
everybody.
belonged to the people. I'm quite sure that they appreciate it. I'm sorry, these switches, when I switch to one camera in the studio, technology is what it is, and I apologize to you guys. But now I try my best to catch the little glitches in a system because this happens with technology. You have these little glitches where, in my case, it switches over to one camera and it mutes the other and it mutes the whole feed into the system. But rest assured that once you bring it to my attention, we'll be back on the air. I'm back on the air as we normally do. And I'm talking about Facebook now. I'm not talking about the traditional radio where you hear me regardless, because this station, WSTA, it's reliable, and its distribution, it's reliable. And in skipping over, we understand that, and I'm encouraging the administration, encouraging the governor, that, to lift some of them restrictions to allow people to navigate with some level of normalcy, because this thing it's actually polarizing, and it's polarizing to Virgin Islanders that, we understand the precautionary measures that are in place to protect the lives of our residents. But there's certain restrictions that people are still a little agitated about, and I'm hopeful that, they find some kind of way to lift some of those restrictions. And the crime has been on the rise, and I'm getting ready to open up the lines in a few minutes, so I'm not going to take the calls them just yet. Let me just close off on all the updates on what the subject is going to be about this morning. And crime seemed to be on the rise. I know this past weekend I didn't hear much activity in that area, but I'm hopeful that they come up with a strategic plan to try to reduce the level of crime in the Virgin Islands, but even more than anything else, put in place a strategic plan that would make citizens feel comfortable. And then skipping over to another subject, hurricane season again is coming up. It comes this June, and I know that many of you, and I pray for those whose homes have been compromised, those whose homes have tops on them, because I know that cannot be an encouraging situation at all. In fact, it's a situation that you cannot possibly be comfortable with. And then I understand, in listening to news, I was told, I think it was the day before yesterday, that they're going to renew Southland Gaming or extend their agreement another 12 years. Wow, another 12 years. Well, that's going to be another subject that we're going to discuss in a very near future in terms of the revenues to our coffers and whether or not it's beneficial, and some of these initiatives, whether or not the government should assume just full control and derive a lot more revenues for the people of the Virgin Islands. So just let me know what's on your mind. But the subject this morning that we wanted to discuss is, what is inflation? And I let me just expand on that a little bit. What exactly is an inflation? Is an inflation? Because this is a subject that is going to be very, very important for us to start having a discussion, because, there's some writing questions that I would even ask on to that. It's like, how will Virgin Islanders be affected by the food chain? I'm talking about rising costs, but also the availability of all the food supply that comes into the Virgin Islands. Will gas prices stabilize? Because we witness it, gas prices have gone up. And then the question that you have to ask also is, what class of the citizenry, what demographic will be negatively affected the most? And then, is this really the worst inflation in 40 years? Because I believe it was the President of the United States that actually indicated that this is the worst inflation in 40 years, acknowledging it, and also the news outlets indicated the same. Now, how will that impact the U.S. Virgin Islands? That's the pertinent question that we need to be asking. And then, ultimately, how can we offset the impact of an inflation? And I'm looking forward to hearing the administration talk about the economics, because it is really important that we start having this discussion now, because if we don't start having this discussion now, then we're not properly preparing for those conditions. I believe it's said that we are already in an inflation. And when I talk about that store cannot get the level of food or supplies that they normally get. And that is scary, because remember that we have two tiers of transportation, and the two tiers of transportation that it takes to get products to the Virgin Islands is by land and by sea. And I believe a lot of those companies consider us to be international destination here in the Virgin Islands. And that in itself tells you that the cost of goods and services will always be a little higher here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. But are we ready for inflation? Is the government ready to provide the services and assistance that is going to be needed, but some form of direction that is going to be needed if inflation actually hits the Virgin Islands full blast? it may very well be here. Because when you're driving on the road and you pass these gas stations, haven't you seen that there is in fact an increase in the cost of gas here in the Virgin Islands, and I think that is one sign that you could potentially, because salaries are not going up, and yes, there's been some money in circulation, but they need more money in circulation. If the administration touted from back in 2020, 2019, that there's $5.6 billion in the U.S. Virgin Islands, are we really benefiting from this $5.6 billion here in the Virgin Islands? I'm sure that many of you are asking yourself the same question. So the number to call here in WSTA is 340-774-1340, 1340. Here at WSTA, this is Adler Fonsi Donnerstock here on Connect the Dots. And, rolling along, and I'll wait for the telephone calls for folks to be able to call in. I apologize because I know there was a number of calls coming, and Rob was signaling me, so out my peripheral vision, I could see him jumping up and down in the studio doing jumping jacks, trying to get my attention. But the number to call here again is 340-774-1340. And what we're discussing this morning, but I'll allow you guys to navigate to other things if you choose to, because I know there's so many different issues here in the Virgin Islands that we want to discuss, that whether it's vexing problems or just things that you would like to see in place to make life a lot easier for Virgin Islanders, because we know that the cost of living here in the Virgin Islands is going up. Because that's exactly, if you recall, I spoke about this a lot earlier in previous programs because I had concerns about the number of, the cost of living in the Virgin Islands and how Virgin Islanders are going to be impacted. Okay, I lost that call as well. And how Virgin Islanders are going to be impacted. And if we're not prepared, the subject we're discussing this morning is inflation. We hear the term, we hear the word, but do we actually fully understand? So let me go to the telephone lines. Good morning, you're on the air, Connect the Dots.
Yeah, morning, Fonsi, this is your boy.
Hey.
You were talking about agriculture, and I saw a report card going wrong about the performance of the administration, and someone gave the agriculture commissioner a C. And I was wondering if this smoking the cannabis they're trying to get. You were talking about the shelf being bare because of products not coming in. Yeah. And this is another reason we need to get this agriculture program going. Because if put come to shove, we're going to suffer here in this island because we have nothing going for agriculture. Nothing.
Yeah.
We need to put more emphasis on the brothers and in Bodo and in St. Croix, and even if St. John have something, and stop wasting time and counting money in the bank or holding it for God knows what.
Yeah.
Let's do something. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As the whole thing is, and thanks for letting me share that with you, brother, this morning.
Well,
Take care of yourself, boo.
Thank you, man. Thanks for calling. Okay, thanks for your contribution.
All right.
Okay, you take care. Yeah, folks have different issues, different concerns, and this radio station is always open for people to be able to call and express their concern regardless. I'm always prepared for anything, but it's not about me being prepared. It's about you having the opportunity to express whatever concern you have in the community, and also to be able to appeal to the appropriate government agencies, whether you're not receiving a particular type of assistance or services is needed in a respective area, that if this airwave could assist you or help you to get a message across to the appropriate agency, then so be it. It's open to allow for you to call in and express yourself. Good morning, you on the air. Connect the dots.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to know something if you will give me the answer. I would like to know, why do we have three political parties? I am very confused which one to go and register with. So tell me why. Thank you.
Okay, let me see if I get your question right. Oh, it's clear. You're asking about political parties?
Yes, I'd like to know why it has so many. It's hard for me to register.
Okay. Well, the question, are you still there?
I have to do that.
Okay, I think the question that you ask is why there's so many political parties in the Virgin Islands. And if you go back in history to how some of these parties was actually formed, it was a difference in opinions of individuals and an individual ability to go and form a party to advance a different agenda, because they may have felt that the other organization or other stakeholder person, individual, their views and their agenda did not comport with what they felt was right for the people of the Virgin Islands. So you had folks out there going and trying to galvanize, because now if you have a political structure and a party, remember that the ultimate, the goal of being elected to public office then became a person's ability to garner the most votes. So those individuals, when they formed the party, it was for the purpose of having an organization that can go out representing one agenda to galvanize more support from the voting public. And you would have a lot more soldiers out there on the field to galvanize the support that you needed to be elected to public office. So you have all these different sort of opinions, and they started forming different parties which had different views and different agendas. And sometimes when you talk about bipartisan, when they cross the line and of course go over to support another party because they don't like what the candidate represents, it happens. And it happens even at the national level, as well as here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. But the caller have a point, a valid point. And there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. They ask the question, why is there so many political parties? Well, I think I gave a response to the best of my ability in trying to explain why there's so many different political parties. So as an individual voter, the best thing to do is to really pay attention. Pay attention to what the candidates are saying. Pay attention to what the candidates have to really offer, the content of what they're saying, to determine whether or not it comports with what, not only what your needs are, but in terms of your personal opinion, what you feel is better for the people of the U.S. Virgin Islands. So I hope that that answered your question. I tried to answer it the best way that I know how. Okay, again, the number to call here at WSTA, 340-774-1340. And the subject that we're discussing, and again, I'll say it, feel free to navigate to other issues that you may feel have an impact. Now, the last caller called and indicated or asked the question, why do we have so many political parties? And I think it's all relevant, because if we're talking about inflation here, now here's the question that I have to pose to those who would aspire to be in office. What is the plan? Should we be impacted by an inflation? What is the plan? What's the agenda? What are you proposing? What are the creative and innovative ideas that you have to offer the people of the Virgin Islands in terms of what you're going to put forward to make sure that everyone eats and not a select few? Because if we're talking, and again I'm going to say it, and this is at the top of my mind, If you say that there's $5.6 billion in the Virgin Islands, no one should be complaining. Because that's a lot of money. And that's a lot of money that can reach in so many different areas. But it is what it is, and let's hope that the paradigm that exists, the course that they have taken, the positions that they have taken, and I'm quite sure that you, the public, those of you listening to me, know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to be calling names. I don't have to be digging into these things all the time. You know it. But whether or not all of us is talking about it, all of us dare to question what we feel is an impediment here in the Virgin Islands or detrimental to the people, I'm not sure all of us are speaking. But I understand it's not everyone that is built to speak publicly, to come out publicly, to admonish or highlight what we feel is wrong. But I'm here to afford you the platform for you to be able to call in anytime you want and express something. If you want to talk to me off the air, I have no problems with that, because if I feel that there's credibility to what you have to share and you don't want to share it and you feel that I'm the perfect vehicle to disseminate it, no problem. I will do that, but it has to be credible information and it's valid. But again, the number to call here at WSTA is 340-774-1340, 1340. And just navigating quickly to something else, this weekend, and I ain't get to talking about the Super Bowl yet for you sports fans or football fans, but this weekend, I mean, even last week with the Winter Olympics and watching some of the Winter Olympics, I'm wondering where this girl came from. I think her name is Erin Jackson. She's a skater. And I'm wondering where this young lady was not only poised, was not only fast, but she was just so gracious and mild-mannered. But she performed at a level that I have to congratulate her. She actually being the first speed skater to win a gold medal, African American. So now we have an African American girl that actually won in speed skating, which was unheard of, never seen before. And she came from just nowhere. I had never, ever seen this young lady or heard from her before. And I just wanted to congratulate her on just achieving just a major milestone. So congratulations. Just take a call again. Good morning, you're on the air. Connect the dots.
Yes, hi, good morning. I want to ask you to expound on your opinion on the upcoming deal that the governor talked about for Crombie Marina with the cruise ship.
Yeah.
And I also want you to expound on the governor has said like he had over 200 projects running right now. Like, how is that possible for a government as small as the Virgin Islands? How feasible is that?
Okay, let me start with the Crombie. I think that Crombie project has been mentioned from before, because they feel that even with the cruise industry feel that the Virgin Islands have to now evolve to be competitive with the other jurisdictions. But we know how this works. As conglomerates, they're looking for potential investments, and if they have that number of ships that is going to be destined for the U.S. Virgin Islands, if they could have a particular port that is going to increase in numbers, they're looking to see what potential partnerships they could establish with this jurisdiction to improve that particular port, but also to increase or be able to increase and accommodate the number of those mega ships that will be coming to the Virgin Islands. And I think what was the second question you asked?
the feasibility of having over 200 projects going right now for a
Well,
small government like the Virgin.
I can say this to you. Virgin Islanders are witnessing and looking around every day. Those projects that they're talking about, I assume, is infrastructure improvement and construction, new construction of different projects that we have in the Virgin Islands. And I think the question that the public is asking themselves, feasibility is one thing, reality is another thing. Okay? And the reason I'm separating them and making a distinction is because feasibility, it could be possible that it is likely that it would happen because the infrastructure, the location, the resources is there. But let's talk about reality. For John Public, if we were to measure the percentage of those 200 projects mentioned, what would that percentage be? Would it be 2%? Would it be 6%? Would it be 8%? Because if you tell me that it's falling below 20%, that is failure. So, visibly, the reality of it, I don't see more than 10% of 200 proposed projects being on the road. So, they could correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just calling it as I see it. And I certainly don't see that level of projects.
And also one more thing, I
Sure.
want to know what's going to happen to the businesses that occupy those areas down there in Crown Bay that have to relocate. I mean, what's going to happen to those business owners?
Well, I
mean,
I would hope. Go ahead.
They're not talking about it. They're not talking about it, you know, but it seems to me like with everything that is happening within the past few years in the territory, in the territory, and I'm speaking about St. Thomas now because, you know, it's St. Thomas that I am at.
Yeah.
But with everything that's happening, it seems to me like at the end of the day, the people that take the greatest hit are the people that are living there. It seems to me like more emphasis is being placed on the tourists and the tourism dollars. But we cannot gain the world and lose ourselves. We cannot gain the world and turn our island into a concrete jungle or make our island try to compete with someplace like Nassau, the Bahamas, or whatever.
Yeah.
We have to ask ourselves, what are the tourists coming to the island for? Because if they want to see superficial stuff, they could stay right where they are because that stuff is plentiful. You know, especially in the United States, you know, they could go to Florida, they could go to the Bahamas, whatever. It's not costly. But when I would think that when people come to an island, they're coming to an island to see something different, to see the natural resources, you know, to connect, to shop at what, like Main Street, you know, which has always been, we're known for our liquor and our gold in St. Thomas.
Yeah.
You know, and you always hear people talk about that, you know, but every time we get new government, we get these ambitious folks with these zealous ideas and these big eyes that's looking at other people's economy, other island economy, and not considering that maybe their economy is definitely structured different to ours, you know. So, I mean, to compete with them, we have to use what we have and not lose what we have, but find ways to compete without ripping our islands or stripping our islands of its natural habitats, its cultures, its values, and its traditions.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You're correct on a lot of those things. You have anything else? I don't want to start talking. I wanted to afford you the opportunity to share your thoughts. Okay. You know, when you sit down, and I'm a realist, when you sit down and you think about what is transpiring in the Virgin Islands, and I will start with the visible scars. For example, this roofing program, and I'm going to bring it up every single time I think about it. The roofing program. When you look at the level of or the amount of contracts that was given to friends and contracts that was given out for different purposes versus the number of homes that was actually repaired, there's no equity. You know, it far exceeds what they paid out than to contractors than what they paid out to ensure that residents were secure. And this seemed to be a pattern throughout the government with a lot of different things. And you know, I'm going to step back a second on to something else because I think it's important. Every administrator, every commissioner, every assistant commissioner should operate with a level of ethics. But at the same token, when I say at the same token, added to that, be careful that you are not set up to be thrown under the bus. Because in a lot of instances, when we talk about these favoritism and the distribution of our resources not going to the people, and it seems as though we have a different mindset where they're focused on making money. And you guys know what I'm talking about. And you neglect where it's supposed to go. I say to some of the commissioners who may be directed to sign contracts and do certain things that they know is unethical, follow your instinct, preserve your ethics, because you just might get thrown under the bus. And I know some of you are hearing me, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, I'm talking to you. Be careful.
And I have one more thing. I want to ask about the airport project too.
Yeah.
Because they're building this big, supposedly fancy parking area, right? But for this little airport, you're talking about attracting international flights.
Mm-hmm.
Our landing strip is not set up to receive those mega planes that will come in with international flight.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, like, you know, to me, I think a logical thing to do would be like to partner with a major airline to infuse money into the airport and actually build out the actual.
Yeah, but before you go on, you have to understand these concession agreements that the airlines have with the Port Authority. And I don't believe that it would be prudent to, in fact, establish that relationship with one particular airline over the others, especially when you're talking about landing fees, and the application must be equitable all around. So,
well, when I was thinking about that, I was thinking like in Florida, you know, American Airline is the hub. In North Carolina, Continental is the hub. In Georgia, Delta is the hub. Yeah. But for their economic development purposes, you know, they partnered with these major airlines. Even though other airlines do come in, they partnered with these major airlines so that they could pump money into you know, their airports and build it out so that it could be able to accommodate greater flights and you know, greater levels of people coming through the airport. I guess the more flights, the more money. But for me, I'm just thinking like we building a big fancy parking deck for what? It's like we putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But and certainly there's validity to what you just shared or what you just mentioned about establishing a partnership. I'm sure that there could be a special concession partnership where maybe in creative financing that the destination, maybe give up some of the landing fees for the next 10 years in exchange for, investment. I'm sure there's a lot of creative things that they could explore. But are you there?
I'm right here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay.
I don't want to hold up your time because
Yeah.
other people might be calling in, but those are the things that I'm talking about. And the topic that you have today for your show, is repeat the topic because I'm not on there looking at it.
The
right
topic
now.
is what is inflation, and I asked a number of
what-
questions. Yeah, I asked a number of questions along the line of inflation in terms of the food chain. How are we going to be affected? Are we prepared to deal with an inflation? The administration, and I'm talking about the Biden administration, indicated that this is the worst inflation in 40 years. And I suspect that what they're saying is that the cost of food, the cost of goods and services has elevated to the point where people's salary not moving in tandem with that could create a problem. But we certainly, they're claiming that we are in an inflation.
Yeah, we are definitely in an inflation because we see it in the prices nationwide. But when the United States cough, the territories does catch the cold or the flu. So I don't think that the territory might get the full brunt of the inflation right away. They normally on the back end of receiving stuff that happen up here. But my thing is this, right? It's not. I listened to your topic. I read your topic. I analyzed your topic, and I was like, Is that the question, or is inflation the question, or is the fact that we have all kind of monies for the first time in like forever coming to the territory, but we are not necessarily, the locals are not necessarily reaping any kind of rewards from these monies.
Yeah.
Like you talked about the roofing program, it seems like everything and the impact and the emphasis is being placed on the tourists, but there is no protection for the locals, and that has been a cry all along. And I don't think that nobody is hearing it. They say that they're hearing it. They pretend like they're hearing it. But to me, I feel like a lot of our government officials are self-serving. If it's not affecting them, if it's not affecting their families, they don't give a hoot. They say they do, but they don't. And that's why when we go to the polls, we have to look at these people, really look at and consider. We have to stop voting for who is popular. We have to stop voting for, the pomp and circumstance, and we have to start voting for common sense legislation and common sense politicians. Vote for the ones that are actually in there fighting for us and making a change. And if we have to change every 2 years and every 4 years, then so be it. Because if we don't do that, then within the next decade, I am afraid of what the Virgin Islands is going to look like, because a decade ago is not what it is today. A decade later, and so we got to really look at this. We got to question this money. Where is this money going? If you're saying that you have all this money, where is this money going? Where is it going?
Well,
the island should have been.
No, go ahead and finish.
The island should have been. The island should have been like top of the top.
You're absolutely right.
Top of the top.
You're absolutely right. This territory should have been flourishing. And when I say flourishing, because when you think about it, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay. When you think about it, we went through 2 Category 5 hurricanes. We received a level of funding. If you recall, even before the pandemic came about, there was an issue about the monies being distributed or placed in tranches, and that's how it was going to be disbursed. And then there was a question of whether or not we had the capacity to handle the money. And that became a question, so it was obvious why the money wasn't moving. But what I couldn't understand is that if you have a major company like a BDO that got caught up in the issue in Puerto Rico, but somehow they're back in the Virgin Islands under the PFA, which is under the leadership of the governor, who is the chairman of that board. You got Whit O'Brien, who manages a lot of these major projects. And you got Ernst and Young, who's actually money managers as well, along with BDO. I mean, how are you expanding and improving your ability to handle resources? So now let's put the funding for Hurricane Irma and Maria to the side for a second. Now let's talk about the money that they got for the pandemic. You had lottery. You had all types of different programs that they put in place, of course, for the protection, for the safety, and for, ensure that residents are being able to stay afloat. Now, it's been publicly said that is as much as 5.6 billion that is available to us right now. If you divide 5.8 or 5.6 billion by the number of people in the population that you have, that's the amount of money you could put into each household. And I'm just saying that hypothetically speaking. But now let's step back. You combine the resources or the monies that we had available to us from Hurricane Irma and Maria, we should have had projects going simultaneously at this point, because we're 2 years into the pandemic. And I can tell you, and just in looking at it from the outside, I am perhaps one of the only persons that possess a certification in city management. But understand that my principles, my ideals, and may not comport with what they're looking for. Because you see, I've always believed that ultimately it's the people of the Virgin Islands that should benefit, because they are the true benefactors. But if you're not, you don't have stakeholders, and I refer to administrators and commissioners as actors. The actors under public administration, if the actors are not performing the way that they should, and they do not have their priorities in place, there isn't an equitable flow of the resources to be able to reach Virgin Islanders the way that they should reach. And it's very, very heart-wrenching to see what is taking place in the Virgin Islands, because I live here. This is my home, just like each and every one of you that have a vested interest in the Virgin Islands. I'm not about to go anywhere. This is my home. And when I'm going to call a spade, regardless of who get annoyed by it, I'm going to call a spade. Just prove me wrong. That's all you have to do. Prove me wrong. I've invited the governor to come to the station. I've invited Jan Engelman for the strategy group. I'm inviting them to come to the station. Let's have a talk. Let's have a sit down. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I'll get off that soapbox and just say to you, I want to thank you for, go ahead, because we're at the end of the hour.
Yes, I just want to say, I know that this is WSTA and the public is hearing. I just want to say that, people need to think and proceed accordingly. It's not about being a pessimist. It's not about being an optimist. It's about being a realist, and people could say whatever they want, but actions speak louder than words, and at every election time, that's when people jump because they want to get re-elected. But you got to think long and you got to think hard. The WAPA situation is a major situation that there is no cure for. And, the governor talked about the solar panels, But I know somebody right now with solar panels that's getting solar energy and still have high WAPA bills. Who's doing anything about WAPA? That's crazy.
Yeah. I need to take 2 more calls.
So thank you.
Yeah, you don't want them getting upset with you. All right. Have a nice day and thanks for calling.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, I apologize here. There's a number of people that was calling, and I'm going to try to reduce individual calls and ask them to be, short on their views just to be able to share the airwaves. Good morning. You're on the air. Connect the dots.
Good morning, Fuzzy.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Okay, I heard you when I first tuned in. You was talking about bettering the economy, right? Now, don't you think, I'm always going to be repeating this because this is much needed. I hope the government wakes up to reality. We need to better our mass transit system to run like the rest of the world till late hours in the night, where this could hopefully promote more businesses to open at night, jobs we need to create, timeliness, and doubling our distance with transfer tickets. That's one point. Don't you think I'm right or wrong?
You're right. You're right. When it comes to those essential services, you're absolutely right.
And stop forcing people to buy cars when they have no place to put them.
Yeah.
And use those vehicles on our roads are obstacles to our fire department, police department, and ambulances that can waste not a minute to get to their points, to their emergencies. Now, I'm trying for several months. Communication is miserable in our government to get hold of people. I've been trying for over a third of a year to get with the different schools, principals, to like to see who would like to take part in bringing back our 41 different types of food trees we used to have. But just to get in touch with them, it's like living hell. I get nowhere. Why should that be? Just for them to call me to like to take part in who would like to do their part. Where the students will grow start these seeds off. Now that we're in this epidemic, from home in 16-ounce cups. And I've been for months again. I'm trying to get with the Senate to let's start recycling. And the green dumpster would be to bring in strictly our clean compost on a yearly basis. We could be developing tons of rich black soils to go back to the schools, the farmers, Department of Agriculture, and Public Works. That we need to bring back our school, our islands, more fruitfully green with the 41 different types of fruit trees. And like I said, I've been trying, my dream is to map out St. John's National Park in straight lines of 12 with our 41 fruit trees. And, what you spoke about this demolitions from 2017. I know somebody who is pretty much disabled. His house is a total wreck. He needs help. He put in for FEMA papers from way back when. He's still in limbo. We've got too much paper pushers, meetings, but we get nothing done.
Yeah. Well, we definitely, you have a point with everything that you're saying, and we definitely need to be a little bit more vigilant. And when I say we, I'm going to say we because the administration is us, we. So when I refer to that, I just mean that we need to get our act together and collectively start making sure that we get certain things in place. Because if we don't see that the quality of life in the Virgin Islands is getting, that it improves, people are going to start looking for places, options, that the quality of life in those other places are a lot better. That's how it is. So thanks. I'm at the end of the hour and they're calling me right now, so I don't want to I don't want to abuse my time. I got okay, thanks for calling. Call earlier the next time. Okay?
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Well, folks, it's been another hour here at WSTA. And I just wanted to thank those callers. But I just want to say happy Valentine's Day to each and every one of you out there. And that you enjoy this day, and it's a special day for you. And you receive based on your expectations. And you receive exactly what you was expecting on Valentine's Day, but that you have a blessed day and ultimately a blessed week and productive week. This has been Adler Fonsi Donnerstog here with you this Monday morning, 10 to 11 on Connected Dots every Monday morning. So until next Monday, I'm signing out. Take care and have a wonderful week.
Please log in to your mobile phone, television, computer for live streaming or your nearest radio. It's now time to listen to Connecting the Dots. People come, let we go. Turn up the radio. Turn it up. This is the People Show. No matter where we go. Connecting people. We all love you. We are here for you. We can hear you. Connecting people. People come, let we go. Turn up the radio. Turn it up. This is the People Show. No matter where we go. Connect the dots, family. Connect the dots, unity. Connect the dots, for you and me. Connect the dots.
From the water to the pot to your mouth, everything is fresh at Catch of the Day, located on Cookie Point Beach. Enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes, fresh catch, lobster, hank, and whelks, when in season, as well as surf and turf. They cater to your wishes. While you sit and wait for your food, enjoy the friendly bar and bask in the ambience that is second to none. Enjoy the white sand, sun, and crystal blue water. We are sure the experience will be unique. Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come and enjoy Catch of the Day on Cookie Point Beach.